Who has been the fastest self-made millionaire in history? Steve Jobs became a millionaire before turning 24. He established Apple, which manufactured the iMac and iPhone. Even Elon Musk skyrocketed into becoming a billionaire in just a few years. Ideally, you'd like to accumulate a similar level of wealth. It's not an easy game to play. Being new to the game means you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Because most individuals don't know how to make money grow. They end up poor at the end of their life even though they worked hard their entire lives. To put it another way, they're clueless when investing. Assume you've been diligently saving and now have an additional $3,000 stashed away. In light of the fact that over 70% of Americans do not even have an extra $1,000 lying around, this is quite an accomplishment. Imagine you're going to invest that money instead of wasting it on another travel or clothes you'll wear once and then store in your closet for years until you ultimately toss it away. However, how do you invest your first $3,000? What do you plan to do with your money? Which stocks do you prefer? Is it possible to begin investing with just $3,000? Everything you need to know and more will be revealed to you right here and now. This is Capital Finance. For today's video, I will talk about how to properly invest your hard-earned savings in stocks. To commence, just give the video a thumbs up and we'll begin. First, you can also invest in government bonds. As a means of raising funds for the government issues a bond as a security. What if the government doesn't have the money to build a school? The government may issue an IOU, a piece of paper stating that the government owes the owner of this security this amount of money, plus interest. But that's the point. This is an oversimplified illustration. Due to the low interest rates this year, the yield on government bonds is less than 2%, but the yield on government bonds was as high as 3.5% 3 years ago during the high interest rate period, which is not too terrible because government bonds are the safest investments you can ever make. As with any financial transaction, there is a degree of risk associated with lending money to the United States government. The U.S. economy may have to collapse for the U.S. government to become insolvent. Thus, U.S. bonds are often regarded as the safest investments available elsewhere in the world today. On the other hand, the stock market is the best option if you're looking for a return of 15%, 25%, or 30%. The stock price of Tesla, for example, has risen by more than 721% only in the past 2 years. The cost of Amazon's shares has risen about 80% in the last year. Google's share price surged by a staggering 30% in the past few days. You heard correctly, didn't you? Then, why would anyone put their money somewhere else if they can make 2 or 3 times as much in the stock market? It's a matter of risk. There is little risk with government bonds. For example, a degree of risk-freeness can be found. Even if a firm succeeds and has a positive results, there is a chance that the stock price would fall because of any negative news that comes out about it. It's possible that the product may be released, and if the public doesn't like it, it might lead to negative headlines, which can lower the price of the stock. This year, Tesla increased 721%, but Apple only gained 60%. This is due to the fact that Apple is a well-established corporation and has a more negligible risk of failure than Tesla. It's up to you to decide how much danger you're willing to handle without going crazy. If you have only $3,000 left, you may want to think twice before risking it all since if things go wrong, you may lose most of it. Investors can reduce their stock market risk by purchasing an index fund. The S&P 500, which measures the performance of the 500 largest U.S. corporations, is the most widely used index fund. Some of these businesses will go out of business, while others will flourish. Historical data shows that the S&P 500's return rate has been approximately 10% since the early 1920s. Investing in these index funds equates to owning a little piece of the 500 largest U.S. corporations. The QQQ, the Vanguard 500, and Fidelity Zero Total Market Index Fund are three of my all-time favorite index funds. It doesn't matter which one you choose, they all invest in the same firms. However, how can you purchase index fund shares? It's hard to know where to start. Furthermore, find a broker who can help you buy and sell stocks first. Once upon a time, you had to pick up the phone and contact the person who owned the shares you were interested in purchasing and ask him to sell them to you. Surely, you've seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street? He'd spend the entire day on the phone, pitching them on worthless investments they didn't need. Then we were in 2020 and things were a lot simpler. Robinhood, Webull, and other brokerage applications allow you to buy and sell stocks from the convenience of your smartphone. To begin investing, all you need to do is sign up for an account using one of these mobile applications. To establish a Webull account, you can use an affiliate link to get 2 stocks free. Cool, right? That's a fantastic place to start, in my opinion. Lastly, you could put it in a savings account and earn interest as an alternative. But why should the bank reward you for putting your money in their account? Isn't it fairer if they charge you? No. To explain it another way, the bank will take your money and loan it to someone else at a higher interest rate, and it will split a piece of the profit with you. In a nutshell, that's how banks operate. Because the interest rate on a deposit account is so low, this strategy doesn't make sense at all. The most incredible rate you probably can receive is 1%. In other words, if you put $3,000 in a savings account, you'll get an extra $30 in a year's time. That's because the Federal Reserve aims for an inflation rate of 2 to 3%, so if you don't receive that, your $3,000 will lose actual value over time, meaning you can purchase fewer items each year. Why are interest rates on savings accounts so low? Since the COVID pandemic led the Fed to cut interest rates in order to encourage everyone to borrow money and spend, interest rates are down this year. This is what will happen in a year or two when we get out of this recession. The Federal Reserve will raise interest rates. This means that interest rates on your savings account will go up too. Investing doesn't have to be complicated, which is why I made this video as straightforward as possible. With technology, we can access our finances through our smartphones, allowing us to play with the market easily. If you're like most people who have a ton of questions before you can even begin investing, then start Googling. More easily, subscribe to this channel for more investment tips. Again, this is Capital Finance. See you on our next episode.